I appreciate that you're covering the topic, but come on, man. Come on, man. Let's go over this. I'm going to pause where, like, I only got a little bit into it, but oh my God, David. Come on, man.
Well, I woke up this morning and I said to myself, sir, we should really do a show today. There's a lot going on. And so here we are. That's the context in which today's program is being produced. One programming note, dozens of people writing to me breathlessly. You could tell, even though it was written text, that people were breathless, saying, David, when is your Lex Friedman appearance coming out? I don't know the answer, but Lex said it would be 3 or 4 days from when we filmed it earlier this week. So I would guess by the end of this week, but I don't know, and I don't have any control over it. But I'm as eager to take a look at it as some of the other folks in the audience are. So we'll know about that very, very soon. All right, listen, I've been waiting for this, and it is now happening. Okay. Republicans, right-wingers, MAGA types, Steven Crowder, and others are now coming after what we call no-fault divorce, which essentially translates to they want to force women to have to stay married unless they can give what some consider an acceptable reason.
And I appreciate that you're taking up the topic, but I do not appreciate your fucking, like, sweeping under the rug what actually fucking happened. Let's go.
Reason for why they should be allowed to get divorced. What on earth am I talking about? Let's backtrack and let's set it up. I had no plan to talk about right-wing content creator Steven Crowder's divorce on the podcast. There's really just no reason to talk about it. I don't know. There's nothing particularly newsworthy about it. Except when I watched his brief explanation of the personal...
there's nothing newsworthy. Okay, hang on. All right, let's go. Nothing newsworthy, according to David Pacman, right? No, nothing newsworthy.
Who seems to be as toxic as he is publicly in private, with people like his wife, with people like his pregnant wife. Disturbing video was obtained by journalist Yashar Ali, and it reveals that the commentator Steven Crowder is berating his wife, and this apparently is one instance of what we later found out was many. In this one clip, it's from June of 2021, and his wife Hillary is 8 months pregnant. This is after a week where Steven Crowder announced that he and his wife were getting a divorce, and weirdly asking why that was legal in Texas, and why you...
Nothing newsworthy, David. Nothing fucking newsworthy, right?
Could just do that. So anyway, we'll put that aside. But then we all got hit with this little slice. So take a look.
I drew a boundary. No, you just did it. I drew a boundary of abusive and cruel. You were not taking the car. No. Because if you refuse to do wifely things, then I will go pick up the groceries.
There is no groceries. I have
steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's not a reasonable request, but I'll go do it. How about you first? Hillary, how do you respect me? Yes, other than that, I see love of that.
Respect.
No, other than that, no, you're not taking the car. You're not taking the car. You are not.
Then I will ask them to pick me up. What would you like me to ask?
Right?
As long as you ask Steven.
Give it an Uber.
Okay, Steven, I can't.
You want to walk out right now? Listen to me. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to my parents. I can't call my friends. I can't be home. You're going to take the car and leave me here. Hillary, just think of how boxed in you've made me.
What do you need me to pick up? I'll get it. I'll be back when I'm back.
No, that doesn't work either. You'll be back when you're back. That doesn't work either.
Wow, you know, oh my God, I hate men today. I can't even with you guys. Nothing newsworthy, David. She was 8 months pregnant with twins when this happened. All right, let's go back.
His brief explanation of the personal trouble that he's having, and including this very contentious divorce, he seemed to sort of bemoan the fact that his wife can just say, hey, I want a divorce, and it's called no-fault divorce. You don't have to prove that someone cheated or whatever to justify the divorce. You're just allowed to say, I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. And in the video that Steven Crowder put out about this, he seemed to be sort of suggesting that that's a problem, that that's not okay. His wife maybe should be forced to stay married to him. And he's not the only one who feels this way. Let's take a listen. This is the video from, I guess now it's been about a week since this news broke, to the extent that it's news.
I have been living with a proverbial boot on my neck for going on years now. Since 2021, I've been living through what has increasingly been a horrendous divorce. Now, let me say on the outset, to be clear, there is no infidelity, any kind of physical abuse at all on either side. And no, this was not my choice. My then wife decided that she didn't want to be married anymore. And in the state of Texas, that is completely permitted. It's
permitted. It's allowed. As crazy as it is,
wow,
you're just allowed to say, I don't want to be married anymore. And I can't control that. So this is now building into a bigger story. And there's a very interesting Rolling Stone article. The next front in the Republicans' war on women, no-fault divorce. Steven Crowder is part of a growing right-wing chorus calling for an end to modern divorce laws. And the article explains, and you can check it out, Steven Crowder is getting a divorce. He says it's not his choice. He says his wife is just allowed to do it. And the article says Crowder...
By the way, Steven Crowder hired a divorce attorney before his wife did. He is full of shit, and I'm so sick of men and their fucking gaslighting bullshit. I'm so sick of men and their gaslighting bullshit. He literally hired a divorce attorney before, as she was trying to save the goddamn marriage. You guys are so shitty to the women in your life.
Emphasis on the state of Texas makes it sound like the Lone Star State is an outlier, but all 50 states and the District of Columbia have no-fault divorce laws on the books, laws that allow either party to walk away from an unhappy marriage without having to prove abuse, infidelity, or other misconduct. Republicans are now unsure whether this is something that they actually want, and the article goes on to say, like the crusades against abortion and contraception, making it more difficult to leave an unhappy marriage is about control. Crowder's home state could be the first to eliminate it if the Texas Republican Party gets its way. Last year, the Republican Party of Texas added language to its platform calling to an end to no-fault divorce.
How fucking sick are you people? How fucking sick are you people that you need to control women like this? That you need to establish this dominance over everybody you see as inferior. By the way, we're not inferior to you. And we will fucking figure it out and overtake you. You keep doing this bullshit to us, we will overtake you. Fuck's sake. You guys are so fucking insecure and weak that you have to constantly try and use your white privilege, male privilege bullshit to try and overcome everybody around you. I can't even. Seriously, the man was abusive. David doesn't even cover the goddamn abuse. She was 8 months pregnant with twins, you guys.
This is another way to potentially control women. That's what this is fundamentally about. No-fault divorce is a legal process, which basically just means you can end a marriage without having to prove that any spouse is at fault for the breakdown of the marriage. And the history of no-fault divorce in the United States goes back to the early 20th century, but it really wasn't until the 1970s that no-fault divorce had widespread acceptance. And before you had no-fault divorce, I sound like Trump. Many people don't know this. A lot of people have no reason to think about this. But before there was no-fault divorce, divorce laws in the U.S. were based on fault. And what that meant is, in order to be granted a divorce, in order to be allowed to get a divorce, one spouse had to prove that the other spouse was at fault for the failure of the marriage. And often it was adultery, cruelty, some kind of abandonment, like they basically left already anyway.
Yeah, but they didn't really include abuse, David. that was kind of just accepted. You could beat up your wife all day long. It really didn't fucking matter because that was just normal. That was accepted. You can beat up your wife. You can verbally abuse her. It's all cool. It's all cool because we live in a patriarchal, misogynistic society. And so men get the last stand on every issue. And so if I'm being verbally or mentally abused by my partner, fuck me. Done, dude. I can't do shit about that. That's why no fault divorce is very fucking important. Because first of all, it sets up a scenario where nobody gets blamed. Okay? I can exit this unfortunate situation without having to prove that my ex-husband was doing something horrible to me. So therefore, I'm not putting something out there that might hurt his future job prospects or his reputation or whatnot. But now this motherfucker is like, nope, lock this bitch in. She's going to be barefoot and pregnant and take my slaps. That's how it goes. Right, Steven Crowder? That's how it goes.
Sometimes insanity or what we might call mental illness. And then in the 60s and 70s, states started to rightfully reconsider that and say, hey, maybe people in the same way that they can choose to get married should just be allowed to choose to no longer be married anymore. And California was the first to pass no-fault divorce in 1969. And then by the end of the 1970s, most states had done the same thing. The really important thing to understand here, aside from what I believe to be the obvious logic, that you shouldn't have to make a case to be allowed to get divorced. You should just be able to say, I don't want to be married anymore. It's worth mentioning that no-fault divorce significantly improved the lives of women as well as children in many situations by giving them greater legal protections and more equitable outcomes in divorce proceedings. Now, you'll have the men's rights activists who love to say men routinely and sort of systematically get screwed over when it comes to custody in divorce proceedings, and it's unfair and all these different things. I consider that to be a different issue that can be discussed on its merits. But understand that prior to the introduction of no-fault divorce, particularly because it was during an era where women were statistically less likely to work, or if they worked, they were statistically likely to be earning less money than the husband in a heterosexual marriage, they were more likely to be dramatically disadvantaged and controlled by the lack of no-fault divorce. And so no-fault divorce, as obvious as it is to many of us, and as standard as it is in so many other Western developed nations, it actually was a really significant change and liberating to some degree, providing a...
honestly, like the gal who is suing Trump right now for rape wrote a book, and apparently this came up in court, that there was some satirical statements in her book about like sending all men to Montana to get retrained. I'm at a place in my life right now where like I don't trust men. I don't trust you all. You seem to all just fucking line up and back each other up to hurt women because you're more concerned about your own social clout. I don't really want to be a part of this system anymore. I would rather just fucking be celibate. Like, I'm so sick of you dudes right now. You were so fucking mean to us. Constantly. You even went to the point of calling us Karens if we say anything. We say anything, we're Karens. Like, the original coining of Karen was white women who were scared of black people, right? That's what it was. And then Republicans just fucking took that term over for any time a white woman was complaining about anything. So we can't even defend ourselves at this point. We can't even fucking defend ourselves. So why the hell do I want to participate in this patriarchal, misogynistic society where all men think that their social clout is more important than how they treat the people that they're supposed to love?
Additional rights to many women as it became more common during the 1970s. So it's not a surprise, given that Republicans love policy that allows women to be controlled. Let's control what women can do with their bodies. Let's control medically, etc. Given all of that, it's not a surprise that they found yet another issue on which they want to go back to the 1950s. And again, that's quite literally what we're talking about. This was the law of the land in the 1950s, started changing 69 into the 70s. I had an inkling when I saw the Crowder video. They're going to go after this no-fault divorce. And now that is in and of itself becoming a bigger story. Horrifying stuff, but it is the party, it is the movement of going back to the 1950s.
Raising you was no bed of roses.
Yeah, it's horrifying. It's fucking horrifying. I have 2 granddaughters. What the hell is going to happen? What kind of world are they going to grow up in? Like, how are they going to... And by the way, these are children of color. So they have it worse than me. I'm a white woman. They're little babies right now, but like, what kind of fucking world are they going to grow up into? I'm so sick of you dudes who can't fucking be men and actually stand up for us. You can't fucking stand up for us? We are constantly abused. Women are constantly abused. This is fucking ridiculous.